This is now the 5-minute tarot for the 4th of June 2017. And it's the horoscope spread, I think part 3, because we're going to look at the 7th, 8th and 9th houses. Remembering what we've already looked at, the cards that we've already looked at for the first 6 houses. So, the 7th house is the house of partnerships. So let's say somebody, your questioner, wants to know, am I going to get married or who am I going to marry? You would look to the 7th house and the card there, and that'll give you an idea of the type of person, the strengths and weaknesses, and so on. So if it's the 2 of Swords reversed, then you would say it's a person who can't make up their mind, or someone who's indecisive, for instance, or who doesn't know how to control their temper, right? Because a sword can be sharp and cutting. So you look at the card and you use it to describe, or you can use it to describe the type of person that the individual, the question is going to marry or become involved with. But the 7th house also describes partnerships generally, whether they're, again, we're looking at this spread for 3 months. So the next few months will be good or bad, compatible, harmonious or disharmonious, in arguments and falling outs with people, depending on the card that comes up there. So the card that I got for this, or for today, was the King of Cups. So the questioner's partnerships are described by the King of Cups. So this can mean there's an important older man, mature man, is going to be involved in the life for over the next few months. Maybe they already know them, maybe they're going to meet them. But what kind of person is the King of Cups? Authoritative, because he's a king. Somebody who likes to give orders, who likes to be in charge, because he's a king. Cups, so a bit moody, bit maybe easily annoyed, touchy when they're in a bad mood. Because even though the card is upright, you can still talk about strengths and weaknesses of that individual. Because it can be that, yes, the card is upright, so you're going to get the best of the individual, but there will be times, there'll be moments when you're going to get the king, when the person will exhibit the behavior of the King of Cups reversed. So they'll be overly touchy, overly sensitive, even though they're generally quite together, because the King of Cups. And then we can think about, okay, the first house is the self, and we got the Ace of Batons reversed. The house opposite, other people, is the King of Cups. So the card for other people in some ways is stronger or more confident than the card for the self, because the King of Cups is upright and is a king, whereas the card for the self was the Ace reversed. So it can give you an idea that, we can then explain to the questioner that other people are going to be stronger than you over the next few months. So, not that they're better than you, but it's a bit like you personally, because you're represented by the Ace of Batons reversed, you can be unwilling to make a fresh start. But the kinds of people you're going to be around are going to be more determined, more authoritative than you. So if they suggest something that you don't like the sound of, you're likely to cooperate with them because they're in some ways stronger. So maybe you would then look to the 2nd house of the questioner to get their value sense, to see what they care about, so that you can then judge whether they'll give in to stupid ideas presented by the King of Cups, or whether they're going to be sensible enough that they'll recognize this is a bad idea and I'm not going to go along with it. So you're looking at the King of Cups, but you're then going back to what you've already discovered, the Ace of Batons reversed in this 2nd house. And I wish I could remember it, and I can't. It's for the person's value sense. And then it will give you a more complete position, or more complete description about what's going to happen in partnerships over the next 3 months. Then the eighth house. The eighth house is death and regeneration. So that's the eighth from the first, right? So the card I got here was strength. So what kinds of situations are going to bring change for and into the life of the questioner? So strength can represent developing a spiritual understanding or looking below the surface of what's going on to understand what's really going on and not just what appears to be going on based on the surface activity. So if the questioner becomes involved in reading philosophy, let's say, or doing a meditation class, or maybe because it's a strength card and it's upright, maybe they join a gym and decide they're going to become physically fit. That would be a good use of their time, because strength can be physical strength as well as mental and emotional strength. So maybe they read some books or self-help books, let's say, or they take a course, or they join a gym, or they do meditation or yoga or something like that, that can help them to become stronger physically as well as mentally. That's a good activity for the individual. And this, I think, is the first major trump we've got in the first 8 cards. So you could actually focus on it. And so if they do yoga and or meditation, maybe that Ace of Batons reversed is going to be turned around, so they'll become more motivated and more independent, let's say, and more willing to make a fresh start because they've got some kind of background now, having studied a bit of meditation and understood a bit about themselves and allowed some changes to take place within themselves. At the same time, the second house is called the second house because it's the second from the first, right? So if you start with the seventh house, which is the marriage partner or the partner, the eighth is the second house from the seventh, because 7 becomes 1, so 8 becomes 2. So the eighth house also shows the value sense of these other people in the life. So I mentioned a few minutes ago about the King of Cups making some stupid suggestions. The King of Cups is the questioner can trust other people because they're represented by the King of Cups. They're authoritative, but even if they're moody, their value sense is represented by the Strength card. Their values are fine, uplifting, spiritually oriented, and in the direction of strength. So you can trust their suggestions and go along with them, and they're not going to get you into trouble because they're represented by a king and their value sense is represented by a major trump, and it's the Strength card and it's upright. Then the ninth house. I'm trying not to go too long. The ninth house represents your philosophy and foreign travel and higher education. You find at the third and the sixth and the ninth, the meanings of the first is the self, and that's basically it. But you find with the third and the sixth and the ninth, the kind of meanings stretches out or broadens out a bit. So the ninth is foreign travel. And the card I got here was death reversed. So with death reversed in the ninth house, stay home. Right? Foreign travel, not that you're going to die, but things go wrong. You lose your luggage, the flight's cancelled, flight's delayed. There's some kind, as happened a few days ago with British Airways, there's some kind of IT problem, and so flights are cancelled and it takes them 3 days to catch up. So with death reversed in the ninth house, it looks like foreign travel. If you can delay for the time being. Higher education is the ninth house. So again, depending on the circumstances of the questioner at the time, maybe they're thinking of going back to university or going to college. And with death reversed, it's not a good idea because they think they're going to get a lot out of it, but they're not. So if the person wants to go to college, let's say, and you get death reversed, maybe leave it for 3 months and go next year, or go in the middle of the year, go in December, let's say, instead of September. So put off going back, or else look more carefully at what the school is offering and make sure, because you've probably overlooked something and you're going to end up in a program that you don't really want, or that you're not suited for, or that you decide that you don't actually like and you wish you'd gone someplace else. So be very clear in your own mind about what it is you're looking for, and which organization or which school will actually provide you with what you want. And don't forget, maybe you need to learn by yourself instead of going to and paying a lot of money for an education which ends up being not as good as it maybe could have been, or not as good as you thought it was going to be. Not that you never go, but with death reverse in the 9th house, it looks like hold back and don't rush into anything at the moment. After like 3 months from now, look again, and the situation could have changed, because you can have discovered something that you don't know right now. And that makes a difference to how you experience college, or how well you do at your institution of higher education. And also, one last point, the 9th is your philosophy of life. So with death reversed, it can mean that you tend to see what's wrong or what's not going to work. But you ought to switch to a more positive outlook and understand that the only thing that's inevitable is life, not death. And it's kind of beginnings of summer here. And I remember I mentioned this before, I think with the death card in a previous video a long time ago. You look outside in springtime and all you see is growth. Grass and trees and leaves and insects and so on. That's little things, but there's so much of it. So the only thing that's inevitable is life, not death. Though that's what they would have you believe, that life's a bitch, then you die, as they say. But that's not true. And this takes us back to the Ace of Batons reverse in the House of Self. So that, in combination with death reverse, your philosophy can help us understand why you don't want to make a fresh start. So this Strength card in the 8th house seems to be becoming more important. So it's important that you develop strength physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and associate with people who are on that kind of developmental path where they want to become better and stronger than they actually are at the moment. Okay, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow for houses 10, 11, and 12. Okay, bye-bye.